Hi everybody, welcome to this live. I am so excited to be here with you today. It's been a long time since I've been live and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to my friend Michal, who's going to be joining me, and she is a Kabbalistic astrologer, and she's going to be talking to us today about what's going on. So let me just add her. She should be coming on any second. Again, thank you so much for joining. And if this is anybody's first time, my name is Debbie Sugarbaker, and I do these Instagram lives and where I talk to different individuals from all walks of life in all different industries, you know, from doctors to healers to psychics and mediums and astrologers, and people who can really give us wisdom and insight and downloads for what we are going through today, which is a lot. You know, we're all going through a lot right now, a lot of change. I feel it in myself and I see it in the people around me. And so I'm really excited that Michal is joining. She should be coming on any second. Let's see. I think I invited her other account. Let me just. Yay! Hi.
Yay!
Okay, so I got you with this account, but I was adding your other account too. So just so everybody knows, she has two accounts, so you can check that out afterwards. But Michal, welcome. Would you like to? I just gave you a little bit intro about you, that you are a Kabbalistic astrologer, and well, I guess maybe if we just get right to it, you can explain to us more.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here because this is my first Instagram live. So I'm so happy. Oh, didn't mean.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you're here too. Excuse me. Sorry, I need some water.
Great.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's really fun that you're here. Thank you so much for joining me. So how did you get into astrology? And maybe you can tell us a little bit of your background of how you learned, because I know that Kabbalistic astrology is different than maybe the traditional astrology. So if you can explain a little bit about that too, that would be fantastic.
Sure. So I am a Pisces. So astrologically, I am more prone to astrology than some other signs. So that's how I was curious to begin with. And then my mother studied astrology.
Wow.
And tarot. Yes. And she taught me, well, she introduced me to astrology. She was learning how to do it. And so when I saw she was doing it, I was curious. This was like in my young adulthood. And it was before the days of computer. So when I first learned to cast an astrology chart, it was manually. It was like by getting tons of books together, which we had to do back then, and put charts together. So it was very, very interesting learning like that. You know, my mother was not a practicing astrologer. She did it more as a hobby than anything else. And I really didn't have it in my mind to practice astrology either. It was like, like most people, it's a passing fancy. It's like, oh, it's something I look at, it's fun to do. And then I just kept to being more and more and more interested in it. Right. And as I went through my many careers, I got more and more interested in it. And then just one day I knew that that's what I would be. That would be my final career, would be astrology. I would be a little old lady living in the woods doing astrology readings. And that's kind of what it's turning out to be.
That's amazing. First of all, I just wanted to interject for a second, because first of all, thanks everybody for joining us. I see so many familiar faces who have joined, and I'm really excited that you're here because we're going to give you a great show. like Michal is going to share with us really important information that's going to help us navigate and see like a bigger picture about what's going on. So I just wanted to put that out there for anybody who just joined, and thank you so much for joining us. And another point about what you just said was that you kind of came one day to know what you were going to do, you know, and I think that first of all, there's a lot of, and that you've lived like this full life, because a lot of people maybe who are like younger, you know, we live in a lot of stress, and maybe I'm just kind of like on the another side of like coming over that myself. But I know when I was younger, I always had stress like about manifesting your potential, about doing what I need to do in the world. You know, some people have it more than others. You know, I think that we all have different jobs and different roles and different missions. But I think that's really beautiful how you just kind of came to know like that. That's very Pisces also. You just didn't know what you were going to do. And then, you know, I know you as a person, and I've seen how you work and how you operate, and then you just kind of go about doing the steps to make it happen, right?
Right. I mean, it's been a very it's been a big adventure. And sometimes it looks, even to me, like I don't know what I'm doing. Like, why am I doing this?
Right.
And just having that certainty and that knowing that whatever you do, no matter how it looks to you or to other people, it's supposed to be happening. You know, that's one of the things that Kabbalah gave me was that perspective that no matter what's happening, it's supposed to be happening like that because it is happening. So there's no coulda, woulda, shoulda going on, because, you know, we're meant to take what is actually happening and say, what am I supposed to do with this? Right. So I came to Kabbalah in 2009.
So people know Kabbalah is an ancient wisdom, an ancient universal spiritual wisdom. For people from all traditions, backgrounds, religions, it's more of a spiritual technology that can help one.
Exactly. It doesn't negate anything that anybody chooses to believe in right now, or if you're on a path. It's in addition to. You know, it's not an either or. It's an in addition to. And technology.
So you came in 2009.
Yes. So I did that because every other part of my life was working. And I said, okay, well, what is the part that's not working for me so well right now? And it was that I didn't have a spiritual home. You know, so I investigated. I was born Catholic. I was born in New Orleans. So back then, that's what you were. You were Catholic. So I grew up in the Catholic religion. And then I branched out and did some metaphysical studies and just looking, I think, for a spiritual home. So I had several friends that were studying and practicing Kabbalah, so it looked very interesting to me. I was attracted, and then it attracted me a lot because it has a big astrological component. So that's a lot of what attracted me too. So
especially with Kabbalah, as we study it with the Kabbalah Center International, there are some astrologers who have been studying and doing this for over 30 years. And now there is a Kabbalistic astrology school, which I'm sure we'll do, because I believe that you studied with this school, right? Yes,
the academy, it's Akka. Yael Yardeni is the head of the
Academy of Kabbalistic
Astrology. Yes. And I did study with Yael. I'm still studying with Yael because it's an ongoing process, just like life.
Her name is Yael Yardeni. If anybody wants to check out her page at Yael Yardeni. Okay, so you studied there.
Yes, I studied there, did all 5 of the academy levels, and then of course there are more levels because you never stop studying.
Right.
And of course, you know, your clients and the people that I help are also my teachers. That's what I love about it so much, is people are just very, very interesting. And their questions, though, are usually the same. Like, what am I doing here? What am I supposed to be doing? Like, you know, that question about purpose and how. So the two things, that's one of the two things that I find are the biggest questions is, what is my purpose? And then the other thing they discover in that is their relationship to themselves.
Right.
You know, that's why I love astrology so much, because it enables us to have a very appreciative and grateful appreciation and relationships with ourselves.
Right.
Because if we don't have that, how can we possibly expect to have relationships with other people?
Right.
Right. And
I think that's really
many,
been under the microscope, it feels like, in general, for like the last year or so, or a couple of years. It feels like we've really, especially with, you know, with the coronavirus, and let's say if you're quarantining for 2 weeks and it's you and you, I mean, that's just one kind of way, but it's like you really, it's almost like the universe in several ways, that's not the only way, has been kind of pushing us to develop and look at this relationship to ourselves and to my and how do I relate to myself, how do I respond to myself, instead of looking for solutions maybe that I used to look at, like, okay, I need to go out to find some solution to X, Y, or Z problem. Instead, I might say, well, why am I even thinking about it in this way? What is it? Why am I? How do I process my emotions? Or what is my, you know, even deeper kind of insights? Like, what part of me feels triggered right now, and what does she need? You know, does she need to feel loved? Does she need to feel accepted? Or, so it's just like in that moment, I found recently a lot, like just totally reframing and going into questions that perhaps I didn't really go into so much before. I was used to kind of either saying, okay, just move on and you know, kind of, you know, go outside of yourself or do something out there. And now it's kind of like we've been put in kind of like I was gonna say a fishbowl, or like a little dish where we're like, all right,
like an incubator.
Go with, look at yourself.
That's what I think. Yeah, it's like prioritizing. For me, it's all of that, and prioritizing what's important to me.
Right.
You know, as all the outside go-tos, like you were, you know, because when we sometimes are uncomfortable with facing something or in question, we kind of just move on and say, okay, well, I'll deal with that later, or I don't know the answer to that, so it makes me sad, so I'm going to move on and I'm going to be distracted.
Right, distracted from, and then it's crazy though, because it's kind of like it's kind of a gift that we've all been like brought to face our shame, because I think it's a lot of times it's shame, or different pains, you know, or things that usually bring us into that place of like sadness, and then, you know, coping with addictions or however we cope.
Yeah.
And we've been really like forced to break down those systematically, kind of like the universe is
and
the
why
process of cleansing all of those mechanisms, but then the underlying shame that's creating shame.
Well, and why we're going through those things. You know, because we don't have to be shameful about that.
Right.
You know, it's that perspective that everything is perfect.
Right.
You know, everything is happening because it's because not all people are reacting to this outward stimulus called the coronavirus or whatever. You know, there have been several. Pick your stimulus, right? We've all been
pick your trigger.
We've all been
choose the stimulus check.
Yes.
That's what I choose.
And
You know what?
If,
I know exactly what you mean. It's so funny, but I wanted to kind of just move the conversation forward because I know that people are probably waiting to know. Like, we're already kind of talking about what's going on, but what else can you tell us about the current transits and everything that's going on right now?
well, what's going on right now, and so the first topic that came to me as I was thinking about, okay, what do people want to hear, right? So the first one is the most obvious one, and I want to advocate for Mercury right now because we are in a Mercury retrograde.
Right.
And it started. We will be in one until October 18th. So I know, people go, it's retrograde. Well, and it because that's what attracts attention, right? So it's like Mercury retrograde it does it 3 times a year. It's what Mercury does along with all the other planets, basically. And a retrograde is just a time to not take so much action, or if you do take action, because sometimes there are things that come in that we do have to take action on, you take considered action. Like you just take a little more time to think through things and think through the details, because Mercury is the planet that governs our thinking and our speaking and our communication.
Right.
So we just need to slow down, consider things, let things in that maybe we haven't thought of before. And if possible, just kind of delay big action for a while until the universe sends the energy that helps us go forward with it.
Right.
That's what I consider, why.
So it's kind of more of a passive approach. I love how you said that. Let things in. First of all, as a Taurus, Scorpio rising, who likes to be like, have everything like a bull,
Gotta go.
So when people say let things in, to me it feels so relieving. Like, just kind of relax a little bit and see what the universe brings in. See what that conversation brings. See who's gonna call. See who's gonna, instead of being so like pointed and directed and this is where I'm going, and with my like the horse who's like running the race,
Right. And it's not so much about my will.
Right.
It's about mine and divine will. Because we can push and push and push.
Right.
And we all know that sometimes it's not just our timing. It's divine timing. And so that's what I see, like Mercury retrograde and any retrograde motion to energy is like it's not actually going backwards. It just appears to be going backwards.
Right.
It's just taking a little pause. And why
I love how you
not?
say taking a pause also, because when I said before passive, I don't mean that like we're completely, I mean, if you're not really into astrology, then you're not really into astrology, but to kind of take a conscious approach to use astrology to help me deal with my life more consciously, meaning I take more responsibility, meaning I'm more aware, have more awareness of what's going on, with the energies, but to actively to bring myself into a passive state, like not just kind of letting things go, but letting things go, yes, but doing it because I'm consciously making that effort. I think that there's like a distinction there,
Yeah, not just reacting, oh my God, this is so hard, and I'm, that's, and just say, okay, I will allow the universe to help me with this.
Exactly. And show me what I need to know. And
yeah. And then when the wave starts again, get on the surfboard and ride. That's so much more productive than trying to buck the wave, right? Where we sometimes get swallowed up by it. So it's learning the rhythm of the universe and using it to our advantage. Right. Yeah.
And so what else is going on like right now? What do you see like individually, if there's anything that you see collectively?
Well, collectively,
should know.
Yeah, collectively is you know, what we can talk about now, because even though I talk about certain things, it's like individually, it's important individually to know where that Mercury retrograde motion is happening, and that's the value of getting an individual reading, because I can't tell. That's just the overall energy, right? So the next overall energy that's pretty potent, especially for people in the United States, is that Pluto is making a return in the chart of the United States, which the effects of which we're already seeing. I mean, those kinds of things are ramping up now. And then
Pluto is like a very small planet.
It's a very small planet. It's the farthest away from Earth.
Okay.
So that means it's in Kabbalistic terms, it's more connected to the divine than to our earthly desires. So basically what that means is Pluto is also a planet of what I can describe it as is it's the phoenix. It's where we burn down what's not working and resurrect into a new self.
Wow.
So, you know, and people, until we fix things, won't experience a Pluto return personally. You know, this is as close to we are going to get to experiencing a Pluto return. And you can already see that happening. I mean, it started in the run-up to the Great Conjunction back in 2020, where the old systems were failing and we were saying, had enough. These things aren't working. We know they're not working and they're coming down.
Right.
You know, things get exposed. The corruption was there all the time. Corrupted systems, whatever that means. It doesn't mean, you know, necessarily money corruption. It's any kind of corruption. It's any kind of not working.
Right.
It's going to be exposed, burned down, and bring to a new life again.
Right.
You know, so the United States was born, what, 248 years ago? We've had 248 years to test things out and live with ourselves. So now we're going to get the chance to correct things, to have a new era.
A new era.
A new era.
For sure,
and then
for sure, I feel that we're in a new era, like on so many levels, like even.
yes.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like what ushered it in, what you just mentioned, was the Great Conjunction. So if anybody wants to look up when that was, for me personally, like even that night was like, and the week before, it was like perhaps the most I've felt in touch with metaphysical, like with energies and like the energies that are around and they're within, like in my life. It was so powerful and so strong for me. And a lot of things happened like that. Like, relationship, everything just in a second was like
well, it was a 1 in 800 year event.
A lot of energy at the same time.
Yeah, I mean that's what comes with 1 in 800 year events.
Right,
and that's
like
what that was.
Changes. Yeah,
big changes. And Pluto return,
it was like fast. I was like, what?
Yeah, well, because Aquarius was involved too.
Right.
You know, that it was in Aquarius. Saturn and Jupiter were conjoined in Aquarius.
Right.
And they do that. They conjoin. They get together in the sky. Say hey, about every 20 years.
Right.
Except they go. This time was the start of a whole new cycle.
Right.
That's why it was a once in 800 year experience. So, and you saw
and
all
now here we are in Mercury retrograde, rehash it, going back in time, right? It's appropriate, right?
Looking at what happened, you know, and
what happened.
Yeah,
and then seeing how I'm gonna take it to move forward, like again to just kind of reset, again to right? That's retrograde. Now I wanted to ask you continue.
Well, one more thing about Pluto. So Pluto is also, because it's the closest to the divine energy,
Mm-hmm.
what Pluto is also calling for us to do is tap into our best selves,
Oh,
tap into our higher selves when we deal with anything going forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we know the division and the derision and all the differences are not working so well.
Right.
Right. And I'll talk about that more when I go to my third thing. You had a question though.
No, I mean, it's kind of, I don't want to take us off topic, but if you could just explain in a nutshell how Kabbalistic astrology maybe differs from the traditional one. I mean, I know that it goes by a different calendar, but also like in the approach, like how do you approach life I mean, I think in regular astrology you can do the same, or I've had Vedic astrology reading, very awakening and helpful and transformative, but if you could just say a few words on that.
Okay, so what we know is Western astrology, and what I learned first,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because there's all kinds of astrology. There's all kinds of systems, and they're all valid. They're all very valid. I just want to say that up front. They all are valid for what they do. Right. No one thing is more right or wrong. Right. Okay, so the difference though in Western astrology, the one that I was trained on, is that they go by Gregorian or solar calendar, right, which has 365 days, right? So Kabbalistic astrology combines the Gregorian, they honor the seasons, and combines the Gregorian and the lunar calendar. Now, a lunar calendar, a lunar month has 29 and a half days, period. It doesn't have 28 or 29 or 30 or 31. It just has 29 and a half days. Right. That's it. So it can get out of sync with the Gregorian calendar. It's possible for someone to be born
women, you probably know that, because
yes,
our cycle doesn't come on the exact same day every month. It's always a few days off. Because women, we're also a lunar and connected with the moon and the tides. Right.
And men are solar. They love to get up with the sun and go hunting. You know, hunting gatherers. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just the way it is.
Now everybody's doing more of everything, but.
Yeah. And it's good to know that some of that is innate and ingrained. And so sometimes hard, sometimes we don't even know it. So that has the possibility of somebody being born in a Gregorian astrological sign, because those are set, right, in the Gregorian calendar, and also being born in a different lunar sign.
Right.
Right. It's not terribly common. And it does happen. I have a granddaughter that's like that. She's born Capricorn in the Gregorian calendar, and she's an Aquarius in the lunar calendar.
Then you would have influences of both, right?
Absolutely. It's not one about focusing on one or the other. It's both. It's looking at all of it. And I love the Kabbalistic philosophy of, we're born, we agree to come in with a set of strengths and challenges in order to fill our purpose this lifetime, right? So one of the principles of Kabbalistic astrology is that we are not our signs, we are not our planets. Those are the tools that we came into this life with, and that the purpose, one of our purposes, is to rise above those influences, not be victims of the planets and the signs. So it's great knowing what you need to rise above or not.
So an example might be, okay, if I'm a Taurus, for example, with certain influences and the way that my chart is, so I might be very stubborn, right? Yeah. So instead of being over time, if I were to gain a spiritual perspective, the idea would be that I'm able to overcome that stubbornness, transform it, right? Perhaps into, you know, being able to, into flexibility, or being able to
Yes.
see other
Yeah.
points of view, or to transform it into something positive. So that would be
Yeah.
something that works for myself and for other people. So that's what would be like.
That's just an example. Yes. You know, and to know when to use the stubbornness and when you're
Oh,
using
right.
the,
You can use it in a positive way. If you're really
yeah,
stubborn, you can stay on something until the end.
exactly. Because Taurus is great for their perseverance and for getting to the end of things. So you don't want to lose that. You just want to use it in a more proactive way,
Right.
and not out of, you know, because lots of people get stubborn out of fear.
Right.
You know, so you don't want it to be fear-based or your go-to just because that's the influence that came in with.
Right.
Right? You want to use it proactively and constructively and productively.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so now that we kind of have the idea of Kabbalistic astrology is very transformative, is there anything else that you wanted to share about what we can know for this time? What maybe for individuals? What can we use? Is there something we can take with us for this time for our life?
Well, we can take some of what we've discussed for, you know, and apply it anywhere we know we have these influences, right? So the next time there's a Mercury retrograde, you can not freak out so much about it. That kind of thing. Maybe it's a possibility. And then, you know, the third thing that I wanted to share was that from now until the end of the year, the North Node, the North Moon Node, which is for mankind kind of their purpose for the next 3 months. And this would be for everybody, regardless of your own natal purpose, right? It's in Gemini. And the transformation for Gemini is community activism, the power of now, and real acceptance. What comes to me is not just acceptance when we agree with something, not just acceptance when it's easy for us, right? The transformation of that energy is to be accepting regardless of how we feel.
Right.
So it's really about having compassion, you know, for our fellow person and wherever they are, regardless of where we are.
Right.
Because they're both valid. So that's our opportunity.
That's really powerful that you're saying that about getting in the now and acceptance, because in the past few days, this really what kind of came through for me. On last week, I watched a lecture by Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, and he is a researcher from MIT on mindfulness, and he kind of like broke through with the mindfulness movement, but like from a very scientific perspective and academic perspective. I mean, he was at MIT and he literally studies it. So he studies like the effect of meditation on, actually it was another doctor, Sarah Lazar, who did a study on meditation and it increasing brain matter. And his whole lecture was about bringing your attention into this present moment. And now it's something that I've heard many, many times before, and you always know, like, yeah, get in the now, the power of now, you know, the book and everything. But it became kind of like just an idea. And really watched this video, and kind of the energy that came through for me in the past few days was like, no, really settling, really bringing my attention and my why and my being to this present moment. Because I realized that recently I've been so focused, and also it could be whatever my astrological influences are, but I think it's also just the trick of the ego is to bring us constantly into, or go overboard with visualizing the future and visualizing what I need and and staying in the future or going, I mean, obviously we're in Mercury retrograde, or, you know, spending too much time about the past or too much time in worry. And this lecture, I can highly recommend it. He did it at Dartmouth. So it's Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, and it's the healing power of mindfulness at Dartmouth University. And he really like brings so many points that really bring you into the power and the importance of living in this present moment and being more present with my life. Already I've put it into action, you know, in terms of changing.
It really is. And it's all about that distraction thing again, too. It's like living like right here.
Right.
What I did in my past life was I also owned an improv theater.
Oh,
and
your past life and this life.
Yeah, and this life. My past, I was like, so I'm, you know, there's a practice. It's a practice. It's a muscle that, you know, that I think that Pluto and this Gemini North node is calling on us to really practice. I mean, it's really kind of coming together and saying, okay, guys, things are tough.
Right.
Things are chaotic. They're going to be. They're changing. They need to change.
Right.
Now, you know, get out of the ideas about living in the now and really accept what's going on, because it is.
Right.
Embrace it and say, what am I supposed to do with it?
It's so crazy you said, and also the word acceptance, because following that, then I was like, went into this whole thing, you know, this weekend about really going over this last couple days, I was really meditating on like releasing my attachment and aversion to different situations in my life. Like you have a certain issue, maybe it's something you've dealt with over and over, and you're very averse to it. So every time I think on that situation, or, you know, you wake up in the morning and again, like that energy kind of settles in. These are your problems and these are the situations you're dealing with. And then you're attached, you have an attachment or an aversion. You know, I like that, but I don't like that.
Right.
Things in my life. And I was really meditating on kind of like releasing the attachments and the aversions and coming into acceptance of who I am here and now, accepting what happened in the past, you know, that's over, that situation occurred, making peace with it, all about peace, and coming into like a greater sense of peace with, okay, who I am, and this is who I am. But really it took time to kind of like, I almost like journaled on it, you know, and went through like the situations that I was, you know, attached to and averse to, and really coming into like a vibration and an energy of acceptance of who I am, where I've come from, and, you know, where I'm going, but not too much focused on that. But that's just me, and that's just
me.
Well, I happen to have a moon in Gemini, so it's something that I've dealt with my whole life. I remember when I was in 3rd grade and my teacher took me aside and told me, you need to slow down. You're rushing everything. You're not gonna, how are you gonna live like that? Because I was always like, taking this, we gotta go, next thing, done, next thing, you know, like so focused and so fast. So
I don't know if anybody has noticed it. Whenever Debbie and I have a Gemini moon also.
Oh.
So whenever Debbie and I get together, it's like nonstop for like an hour. We can cover any subject, anywhere, anytime. So
I remember standing with you in parking lots around Houston, Texas, in the Stuka, in the yard. So many conversations we had.
Anywhere, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, wow, that's very enlightening. Thank you so much. I mean, so if the North Node is in Gemini, though, that means that we're headed towards a corrected Gemini. Like we need to be working on correcting the Gemini aspect of us. And just Gemini in general. Like if you or I had a purpose of Gemini, you know, right now, those are the things we'd be working on. So the energy in the universe right now is for all mankind. Right.
To be working on that, you know. So I love what you said about, you know, taking that and saying, okay, this is what I need to do, because we can't give anything we don't have, right? So the inner peace, the relationship with yourself,
right,
is so important, because if we're going to deal with all these things going on outside of us, right, we need to be in a place ourselves.
Peace. I'm at peace with myself.
Because
so
we can't.
Another thing was, this just popped in my mind, but a few weeks ago, somebody texted me you know, on Friday night we have Shabbat. Kabbalistically, it's a time when you can connect with certain energy. And someone texted me Shabbat, but Shalom, like in big letters. And it's like I don't think he meant to send it. I don't know why he sent it like that, but for me the message was like, yeah, find that peace.
Right.
You know, it's a time to come to be at peace with yourself, be at peace with the situation, be at peace with how things worked out, be at peace with where you are now, because then you're going to be ripe to move forward in whatever direction you need to go, you know, without all of this noise and extraneous things around, energies.
And because the challenge, we also have a lot of energy in Aquarius, and that's what the energy of the Great Conjunction was. Right. The theme of Aquarius is unity.
Right.
And if we look around, we're anything but.
Right.
Right? So it's, yes, we are very diverse, and yes, we have all these different challenges and ways that we are dealing with them individually and as groups.
Right.
And the challenge is to find a way to come together because and in spite of all of it.
Right.
That's the challenge.
Right. And it starts with that inner peace of myself, right? Within, the peace within. And then
right.
You can
we can't give what we don't have. If we don't have any inner peace, we can't give it to the world.
Right. And
we can't give it to our mom.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a work in progress, at least for me.
Absolutely.
Every day is a work in progress. Every day more things are revealed, and I know
every nanosecond.
Personally, I have a lot of things to work on and to heal within myself. And
yeah, and that's what I see astrology is a map.
Yeah.
To work on the things that we came here to contribute.
Right. It's like looking at your blueprint of the house, of your house.
Yeah.
And if you have the blueprints, then you can know, you know, perhaps if you want to add an addition or, you know, redo the kitchen.
Let's take care of the foundation.
You can see,
right?
At least you know
Start
the
foundation.
Exactly.
And then go from there. So it's always good to know where you agreed to start. You know, that's all.
That's beautiful. I love it. Well, Michal, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you felt that you wanted to share with our audience today? I so enjoyed this, and I hope that we can do it again. I'd love to have you as a regular guest on the podcast so that you can tell us.
That would be so much fun.
Our out-of-house astrologer.
Yes, absolutely. No, I think, you know, if there was one message, I think that that I'm hearing is that be our best selves and love one another. That's the answer. Be our best selves and love one another, because I think that you know, they're going to be, the challenges aren't going to stop.
Right.
It's just life.
Yeah, because the challenges are there so that we can evolve.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's a beautiful
thank you for having me.
I enjoy your energy so much, and thank you for sharing your light and your knowledge and your everything. I love you.
And mwah to you and everybody out there. Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. And stay tuned, because I don't have some very exciting guests coming up on the Cosmic Chats. And maybe it's going to be you.
Go, Debbie.
Who knows? Lots of love.
Bye.